Hey, I'm Meg, and today I'm going to be making a recipe that is not mine, but it's actually Steve's. This is something that he introduced me to. It's not something that I ever ate until I moved to DC from Pennsylvania, and it is shrimp and grits. And we do not hold this out as the definitive shrimp and grits recipe because I know there are lots of different ways to make it, but this is the one that Steve makes, and with his help I am going to show you how to make it because it's so delicious. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is cook some bacon. And so I am going to, I don't know why in the year 2020 bacon packages need to be so hard to open. This is a crusade that I've been on, and maybe it's my next business idea. But anyway, we're gonna take, I don't know, 5 slices of bacon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I'm going to do is cut it into chunks and fry it down in the Dutch oven that we're going to use to make the gravy for the shrimp and grits. So you slice it up. And we're going to get this started. We're going to put it in here. And we're going to let that cook down because we need both the bacon and the fat. Okay, now that the bacon is cooking, that takes a little while, so we're going to prepare the shrimp. Shrimp is my favorite food pretty much in the whole world. These are 16 to 20 count, so they're big. Raw shrimp, Gulf caught shrimp. Steve insists.
Gulf caught?
Gulf.
Because I thought you just said that you caught them on a Gulf.
The Gulf of Mexico is where these shrimp come from. And what we're gonna do, Steve thinks that shrimp that are farm raised have a weird texture. And I can't say I've noticed the difference, but he bought this bag, so who am I to say? So what I'm doing is, they were frozen. I thawed them in some cold water. It doesn't take long, just 5 minutes or 10. I'm keeping the shells because we're gonna make a sort of a broth with the shells that'll add some extra shrimp flavor to layer into the gravy. So with each shrimp, you need to get the gross vein out. So you hold it like this and you squeeze it just a little bit. And I always cut like just a little bit to the left of center when I do this. And then just, you can roll it out of there and then it doesn't get gross. So we're using, we don't want to use the pre-cooked shrimp. You got to use the raw ones because we're going to cook them and the shells to make this dish. We are aiming to have about 2 servings, 2 generous servings out of this, but you could use more or less shrimp depending on how many servings you're trying to make. Okay, don't throw those shrimp shells away. We're going to use them to make a flavorful stock that will really up the flavor in the gravy. So put your shrimp shells in a small saucepan. This is 1.5 cups of water, and we don't know yet how much broth we're going to need, but what we're going to do is just cook the shells in some water, and then we're going to use that water to make the gravy. So just cook them for, I don't know, 10 minutes. We're going to cook in the bacon grease about, this is a pretty big onion, maybe a little less than half of this onion. We're going to take, we had this orange pepper, we bought a green one, about maybe 1/3 each, so it's a little more than half of a good sized bell pepper, and a clove of garlic. And we're gonna cook that in the bacon fat after the bacon's done. have a little drink to relax me when I'm doing these videos, but I have this thing where if I eat shrimp and drink wine at the same time, really bad things happen to my insides. And so this is not wine. The bacon's done cooking. We've pulled it out and left the fat in the Dutch oven. The shrimp stock is done. We strained out the shells and now we have this beautiful shrimp smelling, tasting, tinted liquid that's gonna make awesome gravy. And now it's time to make the grits. So we're going to add this is a little more than 2 cups of water into the pot. This is bouillon concentrate. I don't necessarily endorse this particular brand. You can use whatever brand you want. Penzeys also has bouillon concentrate. So this says dissolve 1 teaspoon of chicken base to 8 ounces boiling water. We've got 16 ounces or so here. I'm just gonna do a heaping measuring teaspoon, because this stuff is, we don't want the chicken flavor to dominate the grits. We just want it to enhance the grits. So into the water it goes, and let's get it boiling. The water and the chicken stock are boiling, and so now we're gonna add the grits. We're using about a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio of water to grits, more water than grits. The package called for, I think, 3-to-1. Is it 3-to-1? We're using more like 4 because we don't want the grits to get like we don't want the grits to become a solid mass of grits. But we also want them to be liquid enough that we can stir in a little bit of cheese and some butter when they're cooked. Now we have our bacon grease. We pulled the bacon out of it, and I would say that was 5 slices of bacon. That looks like maybe a 1/4 cup of fat. This is not an exact science. You have to do it by feel, but these are basic guidelines. So we have the fat. Let's turn it on to around medium heat. And we're gonna cook the onion, the pepper, and the garlic. Into the fat it goes. The fat is heating up. I need to give it a minute to have it heat up and sizzle. We're gonna cook the onions, peppers, and garlic in this fat, and if you scrape along the bottom, you'll get the little tiny bits of bacon that's stuck to the bottom of the Dutch oven. We're gonna cook these until they get almost mushy. So it's gonna be a little while, maybe 10 minutes. You think 10 minutes? He says 10 minutes. So while we're doing that, the grits are still cooking. Let's take a look at them. I think we might stir them a little. Yeah, oh gosh, they're starting to thicken up. Look at that. They're gonna be done soon. Don't use quick grits. Don't use the quick cooking stuff. Don't use the envelopes of grits, like those little envelopes of oatmeal. You gotta use real old-fashioned grits, like cooking grits, white hominy grits, whatever they're called. You can get them at the grocery store. I think they're sold next to the oatmeal. Grits are done. We're gonna salt them a little. I guess I should have salted the water, but I didn't. We're gonna throw in some butter because grits are in that category that I call a delivery system. Grits are a butter delivery system. And if that's not deliciousness, I don't know what is. That's a handful, that's maybe a 1/4 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Just a little. We're gonna put more cheese on the top when we serve the finished dish, but I wanted to stir some in the grits just because when is adding cheddar cheese and butter to something a bad idea? Never. Yeah, look at that. The pepper and onion is cooking down nice and soft. You can hear it sizzling, and if you had smell-o-vision, you would be drooling right now. It smells so good. The next thing we do is add some Creole seasoning. Tony Chachere, I don't know. This guy, that smiling guy, makes a really good seasoning mix. We have also tried Slap Your Mama, which is Cajun seasoning. I'm not sure if there's a difference between Creole and Cajun. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm probably gonna get corrected in the comments, and that'd be great because I'd actually like to learn. But this is the one that we prefer because it doesn't quite have the kick that Slap Your Mama does. You could probably tell by the name Slap Your Mama that it's gonna be a little spicy. So we will put a tablespoon of this. How much are we gonna put in? Tablespoon? Says Steve. Let's do a heaping tablespoon. We're gonna just sprinkle it over and stir it in and let it absorb and flavor the vegetables.
I'd actually put a little more in.
A little more. Let's do another half a tablespoon. We can always add more, but you can't take it out. My rule of thumb for life is if a little is good, more must be better, but I think you need to watch that when it comes to really spicy food. I don't have a spicy palate. So the next thing, when you make we're kind of making a roux or a gravy, we're gonna add flour to absorb the fat, and then we're gonna add shrimp stock to make a gravy. So I'm gonna say, let's start 1 tablespoon at a time. This is just all-purpose flour. You sprinkle it over. I'm gonna start with 2 tablespoons and see what it looks like. And I'm gonna switch to a fork, because that way it mixes up. What do you think, Steve? All right, it's sticking to the bottom, so I think we need to add the liquid. So this is that shrimp stock we made. Let's see what happens. We might need more liquid. Stir it. This is just plain old water. I did the whole cup. So that's 2 cups of liquid. We're gonna have to bring this to a boil. Yeah? And let's get that going. And the last thing we're gonna do once this cooks down a bit is add the shrimp.
You'll watch it thicken up when it starts to boil. You'll see it thicken up.
Yep, it's already, I can feel it thickening up on the bottom. You wanna stir it so it doesn't stick. I'm gonna actually, the fork helps to mix the flour in, but I'm gonna switch back to this because it gets the bottom clean. Thanks, Aunt Kathy, for the spoon. It's beautiful. Okay, into the mixture of the shrimp go. The shrimp cook very quickly. They start out gray. They're going to turn that orangey shrimp color that you know and love. We don't need to cook this for a long time. We just want the shrimp to be just done. That's why you can't make this with already cooked shrimp. You have to cook your shrimp. Don't let someone else cook your shrimp. You cook your own shrimp. Almost. Ooh. I'm gonna say 1 more minute, and then we're gonna call it. Time to serve it up. You put a big dollop of grits on the plate. The grits already have butter and cheese in them, so they're gonna be delicious. You're gonna take some gravy and some shrimp, like that, put it over the top. And top it with some cheese, some bacon, and some scallions. All right, let's give it a try. Got a bite with some gravy and some grits. Oh my gosh. The grits have the right amount of cheese in them. You can taste the butter. A little spicy, what do you think?
Well, I'd say the spiciness is perfect. Because I was born down south, not in Pennsylvania. But it's like a super like bunch of textures. It's like you got the creamy grit, you got the bacon in there, you got the crunchiness of the olives, scallions. Yeah. And then you got your shrimp.
It's perfect. I don't know how other people make shrimp and grits, but I think that if you want to make it, you should make it this way because Steve's recipe is awesome, and we will put it in the show notes.
And I just want to say, you may be wondering, since it's like my recipe, but Meg did the thing, is because I believe she's a really awesome on-camera talent. And to be quite honest, I was not willing to trust her with the camera work.
He's a little bit of a control freak.
A little bit of a control freak. I know I could trust her with my recipe, just not so much with the camera, so what can I say?
That's nice. So there you have it. That's shrimp and grits. I hope that you will try this recipe, and if you do, please let us know in the comments how it turned out. And I hope that you will like and subscribe and click that bell for the notifications so that you get notified the next time we post a video.